Okay, now I want to show, this is an air layer follow-up, and this is, in other words, harvesting the air layer and planting it. Now this is a rambutan tree, and I don't know, not everybody's going to know what a rambutan is, but this is what the fruit looks like. Sort of like a, I don't know, a bright red sea urchin or something, it looks like on the skin. But the fruit's really delicious, and it has a single seed inside, which will grow quite readily if you plant it when it's fresh. We usually don't grow ours from seed, and the reason is because about 60% of seedlings are male, and males produce no fruit whatsoever. So and also you have to wait a long time for the seedling to mature. It has to go through its juvenile period, and so we want to short circuit that, and we used to graft these, and that works quite well. But now we have this corky bark, which you can't really see it here, but it precludes grafting. We can't really graft these anymore, so we are restricted to air layering as a way to propagate our known varieties. All our known varieties are hermaphrodite, and like a lot of tropical things, they'll come in male, female, or hermaphrodite. And I really don't know if rambutans produce females, but they definitely have males and hermaphrodites, because all of our varieties are hermaphrodite. So anyway, what we do is we're going to come along and we're going to check the foil here, and I've kind of ripped this open already, and there's quite a bit of roots in this. It's pretty full, and there's also some ants. But anyway, we don't mind about that. We just come along and we're going to cut it below the root ball here, and sometimes when you come out to cut off these air layers and you peel back the foil, like this one here, it's wet inside. Despite our best efforts, it hasn't. We haven't been able to keep the water out. And this does have a few roots in it, but the roots are not going to grow much more if we don't get rid of that water. And one of my strategies that I do is I'll poke the bottom of this and squeeze it a little bit to kind of get some of that excess water out. And if you do this, and sometimes it has a wonderful smell, but anyway, if you do this, recover this with foil as best you can. Sometimes you have to get new foil, but you can actually save this air layer. And it doesn't work all the time, but a lot of times it does work, and it's worth trying. Okay, here I am on the long gone air layers, and these have been on about 2 months. And I'm going to open this up a little bit, and I can see that it's got roots, and it's probably just at the minimum that you want to actually be able to survive. And so I'm going to take this one off. Ideally you'd leave it on a little bit more, but this will work, I think. Okay, now we cut off our air layers and we brought them down to the pile here where we can pot them up, and of course we're going to remove all this, all the wrapping that we put on to make the air layer. The bottom rubber band is already gone off of this one. I'm going to cut through, and I don't cut, I'm just cutting it gently, just enough to cut the rubber band that's holding that on, and so that I can get this plastic off. This one has a lot of roots. This rambutan has probably been on too long. It has too many roots. You can't even see the moss anymore. It's covered. And I've had some trouble with these that way, so I think I'm going to cut this a little bit to kind of get, so that it doesn't start out right away root bound. And hopefully that'll work for it. Now, when the root ball is only this big on this plant, so you want to be careful that you don't have more leaves on top than you have root ball to support the leaves. You want those roughly to match. And then once you do that, then we pot it up. Now, this mix here in Hawaii, we have cinder, volcanic cinder, which is great because it's very porous. Got a lot of passageways. Not all of it is that way. Some of it can be very dense, and those aren't really suitable for potting things up because then it becomes like gravel. And you can use gravel too, but really we want the porosity here. because you know, you can see the container. This is the hole that the water goes in, and these are the holes that the water can come out of. So you can drown this plant pretty easily by overwatering. And really the only protection you have against that is by having a very well drained mix. And my mix here, I have this, you know, volcanic cinder, which is very porous. I have perlite, which is also very porous, and then coconut husk, which is a very small part of the mix, and I don't think you can even really see it in here, but it is in here, probably about 20–25%. And then we have some lime and some triple phosphate. Now, as I said, you know, we have a very well drained mix here, and that keeps the plant from drowning. The flip side of that is when you have a very well drained mix, you need to water quite often. So probably every day at least something, because since it is so well drained, it can dry out rapidly. So anyway, you know, we want to err on the side of drainage. We want as much drainage as we can possibly have. And we throw some soil down there in the bottom, and put this guy in there. Try to make it as straight as possible. But this is going to be the trunk of the new tree here, so and I'll do it like that, and shake it down. Okay, there you have it. There's your new tree. This will have to be in this pot about 6 to 9 months in order to root enough to be planted in the field. By that time it should fill out the whole pot here, and should be hardy enough to go in the field. And there you have, that's a new air layer. Thank you very much.